Are you familiar with belly dancing? While belly dancing is often portrayed in the media as some sensual type of dance, the reality is there are tremendous health benefits that can come from belly dancing. But what are they and how do they compare to other forms of exercise? On today's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast, we sit down with belly dancing expert Jennifer Sobel to answer these questions and more. We're going to cue the intro song and then we're going to dive right into this conversation. Welcome to the Exercise is Health podcast, where we're talking about exercise, health, and the interconnectedness of the two. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we will be coming to you every single week from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg. Hey, what's going on, exercisers? This is Charlie. Before we dive into this week's episode, I want to let you know about a new training that's happening this week titled How to Rebuild Your Aching Body in as little as 6 weeks without changing your lifestyle. See, if you love the discussions that we have every single week on the Exercise is Health podcast, but you want more of the practical application, the details of how to take the information and apply it to your workouts, then you need to be on this training. All you have to do to get registered for free is go to secrets.exerciseforlifemethod.com. But space is limited, so make sure to get registered ASAP. Now, without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, welcome back, exercisers, to the Exercise is Health podcast. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we're coming to you from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, here in Schaumburg, Illinois, where we believe that your health is your most valuable asset, and the single best thing that you can do to both boost and protect this asset is exercise. Specifically, exercise is geared towards building the health and function of your muscles. Now, so many of you exercisers have taken the time out of your day to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and we truly appreciate that. So right now we want to say thank you for doing that for us, and we want to highlight a review that we've recently received.
This 5-star review says, Charlie, Julie, and their incredibly knowledgeable guests talk all things exercise, but it's so much more than that. You'll get tons of actionable advice and tangible tips, but you'll also get heaps of inspiration from truly engaging individuals that genuinely want to help others. Thanks so much for putting out a spectacular show, guys. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much for that 5-star review. We are so honored that we get to be in your ears every single week. If you have been listening to us and you are benefiting from the content that we put out each and every week, we would absolutely love it if you would go to your podcasting app and leave us a rating and review. It truly helps us find more people just like you that are looking for excellent exercise advice.
Now, Julie.
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with belly dancing?
Kind of.
Yeah, me too, right? Like I've seen it done kind of like in the movies and stuff, but I really don't know anything about it.
Yeah, me neither.
But you know what? We actually had a really interesting conversation with a belly dance expert, and she enlightened us on some of actually the tremendous health benefits that can come from belly dancing. Even though there may be certain stigmas around belly dancing, there's actually some really cool benefits when you start to do it consistently. And so Jennifer Sobel answers our questions about belly dancing and explains why it's something that you may want to consider adding into your exercise routine. So Jennifer Sobel has been a professional belly dance instructor and performer for 16 years. She integrates her experience as a licensed acupuncturist and a personal trainer to create holistic belly dance programs that help women heal in body, mind, and spirit. Her mission is to make belly dance approachable to all women so they can experience the joy of belly dance as quickly and easily as possible. Her program, The Belly Dance Solution, helps women strengthen their pelvic floor with belly dance and appeared in the popular women's magazine, Women's World. Her recently launched Feminine Fire program is a membership program with the ultimate video library of 400 plus videos and teaches a unique system to DIY your own belly dance routines.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to our show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk with you about today's topic because, to be honest, I know very little about it, and that is belly dancing. So what is belly dancing? How is it different than other forms of dancing and other forms of exercise?
Yeah. Well, I've actually thought about this a lot throughout the years. I've been a professional belly dance instructor and performer for 18 years. And I've really thought deeply about this question because I've had to come up with teaching methods that make belly dance as approachable and simple as possible. But what makes it so different is that belly dance uses a lot of internal muscles. You know, like if you do like salsa, let's say, and a lot of other dance forms are more step based. So it's more about like the footwork, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that kind of thing. Whereas belly dancing is less footwork based and more internal core activation. And so it takes a little while to develop the muscle strength to be able to do the movements.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it is that in that process, you discover muscles that literally you didn't even know that you had. Because, well, first of all, we live very sedentary lifestyles most of the time. You know, most of us are sitting down for way too many hours a day. And so we're not even using our core. And also, you know, it also means that our low back, our hips tend to be locked up. And so it's this wonderful process of reawakening our muscles and increasing our mobility and our fluidity. But I would say the main difference is that it's very internal. You know, a lot of it is things you don't see that's happening. And so it builds a lot of heat in the body. Like even just 5 minutes, you're like, oh my God, it seems like I wasn't doing anything, but you were really activating a lot of deep core internal muscles.
That's a really neat concept, because I know when I've taken dance lessons in the past, you're right. It's very footwork oriented. You know, there's a timing with, you know, your arms, and essentially you're coordinating your arms and your feet, right? But your trunk is more or less just the holder of the arms and the feet, and it's going along the ride. Now, what I find to be so interesting about that is, as I do the footwork and those steps, like I definitely feel like more coordinated with my feet, and like I have better rhythm and everything like that. Do you find that to be a similar transfer with the abdominal muscles, the core muscles, that when people start doing belly dancing, they feel like they can control their core so much better because now they're using it in ways that they haven't before?
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I'm sure you know this, you know, as a trainer, that, you know, even, well, definitely everyday living activities, we don't move in all planes of motion.
True.
And so belly dancing is very interesting because you move in all planes. And so I really call it like a 360-degree core strengthening exercise. And I used to be a personal trainer for about 4 or 5 years. And I never found like something that was as effective as building my core as belly dancing, because I was hitting it from all these angles in a very functional, organic way.
Yeah.
You know, we do a lot of twisting movements.
Sure.
Rarely do we do twisting in our everyday life, which is why injuries tend to happen in that plane of motion.
Yeah.
You know, we move a lot like forward and back and side to side, but like you in belly dance, you do a lot of twisting, which is really great. The belly is the fulcrum at which everything happens. And so women also notice that it really helps to improve their posture and also increase the awareness of how they're holding themselves.
Yeah.
And how they're moving through the world, quite literally. How are they moving through space? Which is like, is so valuable. It changes how you feel on the inside.
Completely. I mean, that awareness piece is such a big thing. Like if we just think about, you know, our belly as our belly, and we're not thinking about, you know, oh, okay, now I can sense all the different parts of my abs and my obliques and, you know, all the different things. It's like you get to operate in a completely new body when you have that awareness, because there's so many more tools at your disposal of how you want to move and sense things and stuff. So it makes total sense.
It's so cool. And I mean, like the more you can do, the more power you feel, the more control and the more sense of freedom, because you can do more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So let me ask you this, because I think belly dancing, I don't want to say it has like a stigma around it, but I think there's definitely some misconceptions about it. What are a lot of misconceptions that you find people running into that may be preventing them from starting something like belly dancing?
Yes. And I am like on a huge mission to get out the message that belly dancing is for every woman. And I have proven that because I have women of all ages. I mean, literally, I have women in my programs that are in their 70s. All ages, shapes, sizes, skill levels. So, you know, I think one of the biggest misconceptions that women have is like belly dancing is not for me for any one of those reasons. The age, I don't look the right way. I'm too small, I'm too big. It's like, well, all the crazy things we tell ourselves as to why we can't do something and it's not for us. It's for every woman. And the thing that I think is another huge misconception, and I experience this a lot as a professional belly dancer performing, is that there's this idea that belly dancing is a spectator sport. It's for other people to look at you and your body as an object of sexual desire. No. I'm trying to shift that power back to women to say, you're not an object, you're a subject in your own body. And the main healing benefit of belly dancing is to help women experience themselves, to get into their body, to feel grounded, to feel powerful, to feel at peace, to feel just connected. Because there's so many messages in the media of judgments on women's bodies and what makes them okay and not okay. And what that does is women start to separate from themselves. And this brings you back in, it drops you back in. And to say, I'm here for me, I'm doing this for me. It doesn't even matter how good I am.
Yeah, I love so much about what you're saying, because, I think one of the initial thoughts that I had, with belly dancing is, like you're saying, you're dancing so people can see your belly, right? Like that's like the entertainment is watching the belly, right? But the approach that you're taking is you're saying, no, it's not about everybody else seeing your belly. Nobody else needs to see your belly whatsoever. Because the whole point is what's going on within your body, your ability to connect to your core, your ability to use specific muscles in specific ways and just have ownership over your body.
Yes, exactly.
That's what you're trying to empower people with. Not saying, okay, for the next 45 minutes during this class, you're just going to be shaking your belly button everywhere. It's like, no, that has nothing to do with it. It's everything that's going on within.
Yes. And it's like, there's so many things in our day to pull our attention outward. And this is a way to pull it back in and to be inner reference, to feel our energy from the inside out. And I mean, I dealt with that when I was performing. Like, people want to project onto me. I'm not in control of someone else's feelings or how they're viewing me or whatever. I'm not concerned with that. If they want to see me as a sexual, I don't have any control over that, but I'm not here for you. I'm here to express the joy and the fun of belly dancing. And that's what most people would connect with, is that I would be in my joy and they would be a part of my joy. Yeah.
I love that. Okay. So somebody's listening right now and they're like, okay, I'm interested. How the heck do I get started? Like, do they just start trying to squeeze their abs? Or, because like you're saying, every form of dance is, or I shouldn't say every form, a lot of them, if you're thinking about, the belly, they're more like zeroed in on the hips. So how do you kind of take that focus and actually start engaging your different core muscles?
So, I always give people direction in the sense that, we're very lucky that there's so many opportunities to do belly dance at home. If there's a local class, like, that's great, Google it and see what's available. It's so convenient to do it at home. And then you have a number of different options. There's some great videos on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. There's DVDs. I have an online belly dance instructional program where I take people step by step through it. So, the best way is just find a video, a program, or a DVD that starts at a beginning level. That's where you're at. Because what I hate to see happen is people getting discouraged. Anybody can belly dance. It's true. It's just, you have to start at the right level and be patient and just enjoy what you're doing. Part of it is just waking up these muscles. So there's just a lot of videos, but just make sure you're starting at a beginning level so that you don't get discouraged. And then, just like anything else, it's like any other skill, you just kind of, as you do it, you learn more and you bring in another layer of learning.
Yeah, just building on it from there. Totally makes sense. So why would somebody want to belly dance? Now, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just curious. Like, if somebody, they're like, okay, well, I can do these ab exercises. Why should I switch out these ab exercises for belly dance? Or why should I add in belly dancing. We talked about the connection piece, but is there something more than that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, what I hear from a lot of women who take my program is that, you know, I feel unique in the sense that I actually love going to the gym, but
Sure.
that's not the norm. You know, most people don't want to go to the gym, or they're looking for a fun way to work out that doesn't feel like a workout. And that's what belly dance is it's a really fun way to work out. You're burning calories, you're strengthening not just your core, but like your arms, your legs, like you're really getting a total body workout. And I think that there's also this element of increasing mobility and flexibility, you know, fluidity, you know, even like, I mean, I lift a lot of weights. Belly dancing helps me to still stay fluid and not stiff. And I have a lot of students tell me that they had arthritis that was causing them a lot of pain, and belly dance helped them just by increasing their mobility, because belly dance is essentially a non-impact exercise. So it's very easy on the body, easy on the joints, and it helps you to feel fluid. And I mean, yes, sexy. So, I mean, I just had one of my students the other day, she's 74, and she was telling me just she feels sexy. I'm like,
that's awesome.
Get it. That's awesome, you know? So I think it really helps to connect women with their feminine energy. There's something about belly dance that's just so uniquely designed for the female body. And some people think that it actually originated as a dance to help women prepare for childbirth and recover because of its ability to strengthen their pelvic floor. And so there's that healing benefit as well. And my program, the Belly Dance Solution, helps women strengthen their pelvic floor and improve or eliminate leaking through belly dance. So many women don't even know there's this other hidden benefit, but it really is true. It's a very organic way of strengthening the pelvic floor without doing boring Kegel exercises.
Sure. I love it. That's really cool. You know, one thing about dance in general is it's often said to be really good for brain health, you know, just understanding like how to move your body in a rhythmic pattern, how to connect with different areas of your body. So I'd have to imagine that the same would hold true for belly dancing, especially because so many people are very just kind of mind muscle disconnected from all the individual core muscles that they have. So I would imagine that there's definitely a brain strengthening component in that regard too, which is huge.
Absolutely. Oh, totally. I mean, how could it not? I mean, you're like tapping into all these parts of your brain. You're using both hemispheres. You know, you have to. It's such a healthy and happy thing to dance.
Yeah. Now I know you've brought up you know, belly dancing for women, you know, throughout this conversation. But I gotta ask, like, is it useful for men too?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, like, you know, men may not be as attracted to learning this, but I've had men in my classes before. And in fact, there's some incredible male belly dancers throughout the world that are so amazingly talented. So it's not a gender specific dance. It's just more that women are more attracted to it. But, you know, it would help a man's pelvic floor as well. And men have pelvic floor issues. So it would help to, you know, men tend to be even more, you know, restricted in their hips. Be great for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, very cool. Very cool. So we talked about kind of like how to get started with it. Where can people learn how to get started with you with this?
Yeah, so I have two programs right now. One of them is called the Belly Dance Solution, and that's specifically focused belly dance movements for strengthening the pelvic floor. And that's at thebellydancesolution.com. And then I have a comprehensive Learn Belly Dance program. It's called Feminine Fire, and that's at femininefireofficial.com. And my goal with that program is not only to help women learn belly dance as quickly and easily as possible, because I've learned a lot throughout the years where women tend to get hung up, and I don't want that to happen, but also just as a healing modality. I used to be an acupuncturist for about 5 years, and to me, belly dance is healing on many different levels. So I see belly dance more as a vehicle than a destination. And there's just, it opens up worlds. So yes, I'm going to teach women how to belly dance, but it's so much more than that.
Right on. Okay, we'll definitely put all those links in the show notes. I am curious. So how did the transition work from from acupuncture, personal trainer into belly dancing? How did that whole how did you land in belly dancing?
Well, the irony is that belly dancing is actually the thing I've done the longest throughout
Really?
all my different career transitions.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been the through line of my life. And I feel like it's really my reason for being here. Because when I was 10, something like that, my dad took us to the Marrakesh Moroccan restaurant in Las Vegas, where I was born. And I remember the belly dancer coming out and just being like in awe of her. And she came to our table afterwards and she took off her necklace and she gave it to me.
Oh,
and
cool.
I still have it.
Wow.
And something was awakened in me. And I was like, someday I'm going to learn how to do this. And that's where it all started. And I just feel like all the different career paths that I've had in health, fitness, wellness is just all in this main category of healing. And for me, belly dance has brought me the most joy and the most healing in my life. And it's my honor to share the gifts of belly dance with as many women as possible so they can experience the joy I feel.
I love that. That's powerful. That's incredible. When people are starting off with belly dancing, we talked about some kind of mental challenges they may have as far as like, shedding the stigma of it's about the, like you're saying, a spectator sport. It's about everybody else, seeing them and whatnot. What are some of the physical challenges that you find that people may run into when starting off with belly dancing, or that kind of prohibit them from keeping the ball rolling?
To be honest, I feel like most of the challenges and limitations that women have are in our heads.
Gotcha.
It's the thing that says, "Oh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
This isn't for me. I'm not coordinated enough. I don't have rhythm. I'm never going to get it." It's just all these self-defeating thoughts. And that it takes a while to build any new skill, especially when it comes to your body.
Sure.
And especially when it's something that's dependent on you having muscle strength.
Yeah.
Nobody would expect to like have big biceps if they didn't work them.
Right.
It's same. It's just a process. So I think that, when initially a woman starts belly dancing and she's like, "Oh, I can't do this." Well, of course you can't.
Sure.
Nobody was born belly dancing. So you feel the limitations in the strength that you don't have yet. You feel the limited mobility that you need to open up, which is a good thing because we don't want to be locked up.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, it makes total sense. So, Jennifer, this has been an awesome conversation. I really appreciate it. The question that we like wrapping up with all of our guests is, what is your definition of health?
Being able to do everything that you want to do.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I mean, honestly, like when people ask me my definition of health, like it's right along those lines as well, right? Like so often we think of health as what my blood values come back as or anything like that. But it's like, can you do what you want when you want and feel the way you want while you're doing it? Like it doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
Right. So, it's freedom.
Yeah.
It's freedom.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it sounds like what you're helping women and people do with belly dancing is helping them do that, right? You're giving them
to do more, be more.
Yeah.
And to be more, be the best version of yourself.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, this has been fantastic. Where can people connect with you? Are you on social media? Where can they, give me your website address one more time.
Yeah, so thebellydancesolution.com and femininefireofficial.com. And those are both my handles on social media as well.
Sweet. Awesome. We'll put all of that in the show notes.
Thank you.
You bet.
Wow. Was that an interesting interview or what? I mean, seriously, like my knowledge of belly dance going in was so limited, but I mean, the thought of being able to do these dances and do these exercises and strengthen areas of your body that you may not be able to otherwise That's such a cool concept and such an important one as well. So if you enjoyed this interview, definitely take a moment to connect with Jennifer on social media and check out her programs. So who do you know that needs to hear this episode? Who do you know who is interested in strengthening their pelvic floor and is doing the more traditional ways of trying to do that, but isn't getting the results they want, or is interested in trying to do a different way of exercising that may be more fun for them, or maybe using their body in a different way than they're used to? Share this episode with them so they can learn the benefits that Jennifer discusses around belly dancing and how it can help them achieve their health and fitness goals. And while you're online, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps people find our podcast when they're looking for information on exercise and when they're looking for information on health. So if you found value in this conversation today, let us know by leaving us a 5-star rating and review. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Have a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week. So what'd you think about that episode? Did you find the information useful? If you enjoyed what we discussed during today's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast, then you are going to love what I'm going to be presenting during my new training, How to Rebuild Your Aching Body in as little as 6 weeks without changing your lifestyle. It's happening this week, and you can get registered for free by going to secrets.exerciseforlifemethod.com. But space is limited, so you need to head there now. secrets.exerciseforlifemethod.com, and I can't wait to see you there. This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.